If you want a strong online presence, you need to be doing content marketing. Content marketing can be time consuming, but if you're smart about it, then you can create a lot of content in less time than it would take somebody else. In order to do that, you need a system and you need to stick to the system. Now, you're not new to online marketing or online marketing trainings. You've probably seen a lot of different content marketing systems and processes out there. Everybody has their own system. The reason there are so many systems is because there are so many different types of people. So a system that may work really, really well for one person may not work so well for another person. A few months ago, I hired Crystal Statskey to be my project manager and help me with Envivo's online marketing. And she introduced me to her system called Themes and Categories. And it is really good, very simple to follow. And as soon as she told me it, I was like, this is something that my podcast audience needs to hear. So in this episode, she's going to be sharing with us her system, and we also talk about repurposing content and tips and tricks. We've addressed content repurposing before on this show because I love the concept of repurposing and recycling content, really using it effectively and efficiently. So I'm really excited about this episode because we talk even more about it. This is Unforgettable Online Marketing, and I'm your host, Tara Wilder. On this show, we share practical online marketing tips and strategies for virtual business owners like yourself, so you can build a powerful online presence, attract your ideal client, engage them, nurture a relationship with them, and convert them into leads and paying clients. If you haven't already, I would love it if you would take a moment to please rate and review this show on your favorite podcast player. That helps us get it in front of more people, and I love hearing from you as well. So please take a moment to do that, and then enjoy episode number 18 with Crystal Statskey. I'm so excited to introduce to you Crystal Statskey, who is an OBM. If you don't know what OBM is, it is an online business manager. So she supports entrepreneurs like you who are overwhelmed with managing their businesses, their launches and sales, and she helps you organize your business and automate your sales so that you can grow your audience and make a bigger impact and make more money. And I actually recently hired her as a project manager too, and I've got to say, this girl knows her stuff, and she is so on top of it. I don't know how I existed before her, but it has been such a pleasure working with her, and I'm so excited that she's here. We're going to talk about content marketing and how you can organize and systematize your content marketing. But before we do talk about that, I wanted to say hello, Crystal. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Hi, Tara. Thanks for having me on this awesome podcast, and great intro, by the way. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, what was that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so what I would love, I gave a little bit of an intro into what you do, who you serve, and how you serve them. But can you tell us a little bit more about that so people get an idea of what your business is like?
Absolutely. So like you said, I help overwhelmed entrepreneurs streamline their launch and automate sales. And I do that by helping people like you with project management, email marketing, social media, web design, and tons more. And I like to be the person to help support in the background of all things marketing and strategy so they can run their business more efficiently and smoothly in order to fast track those big results.
Yeah. Oh, and we need people like you too. We need people on both sides, the people who will be the loud face of the brand, and then the ones who are making it run in the background. You know, like we know these big figures like Tony Robbins and Todd Herman, people like that. But we don't really think about oftentimes the people who are putting the show together and making sure that the business is running smoothly. And it's because of superstars like you. So your work is very, very much valuable and needed for all entrepreneurs.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And yes, I like hiding in the background to do all that.
Although you do have a strong online presence yourself and you are killing it with social media and video as well. So to those entrepreneurs who are listening or watching this, who are also background support, that does not mean that you should be in the background of your own business and your own online marketing.
Absolutely. And that is so true. So yeah, even though I like hiding in the background, that's mainly because I like running things from behind the scenes for my clients. So I like doing the tedious tasks that they might not like doing or they don't know how to do. But in order for me to do that, I still need to market myself. And that means that I need to be online 24/7. I need to be in front of everybody's screens as much as I can. And that's why so many systems and processes that I have in place have helped me to be where I am.
Right. Like being in front of people 24/7 doesn't mean you're actually like on your phone or your computer posting those things or writing the content 24/7, because that's crazy pants. You have these systems and these ways of automating your content creation that allow you to be in the forefront of people's minds always. So when they go, oh, I need help with launch strategy, launch management, or business management, they say, Crystal's my girl, going to Crystal, because they've seen you and heard about you so much, right?
Absolutely. So even though I say I want to be on screens 24/7, I'm only working on my marketing for my own business. I'm only online maybe a few hours a week. And that doesn't include like the work that I do for my clients, but the work that I do for myself, I mainly just focus on things Mondays and Tuesdays, and then I'm done for the rest of the week. And that just leaves me so much freedom. So it's really great.
You know, recently I did a survey with my audience and asked them a bunch of different things. And one of the things I asked was, what do you dislike the most about online marketing? And I don't think I phrased it like that. I phrased it in a specific way. But the goal was to find out what it is that they don't like about it. And one of the answers, the top answer actually, was it takes too much time, which, yes, it does take time. But if you're really smart about it, you can get, you can create more content in less time. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So, as a lot of you guys know, Envivo is my company, and we're an online marketing agency, and we support entrepreneurs in content creation as well. And we've got systems, and that's the only way that I can serve multiple clients, or we as a team can serve multiple clients, is by having systems. When I hired Crystal, she taught me her system of themes and categories. I almost said categorizing, themes and categories, that really helped me see that there's another way to do it, and that this is a really good way to make sure you have really well-rounded content. I'm like, this needs to be shared with our podcast listeners. So let's just begin with what I mean by themes and categories. Can you tell me or tell us a little bit about that system, like a big picture overview of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start from the beginning. So when I first started creating content on my own, I felt like I was running on this never ending hamster wheel. Like I was just running and running and running. I was constantly creating content day after day and scheduling it. And I had like no plan in place. I was kind of just throwing whatever I could at the wall and seeing if it sticks. And so after a few months, I hired a business coach, and she was the one who actually brought up this idea of themes and categories for me. So I could be planning like 4 months of content at a time. And then I'm, all set. I don't have to be creating content every single day. I don't have to sit and wonder, what am I going to be writing about today, or, things like that. So basically, the themes and categories system is this document where you brainstorm all these different ideas that you have that you could be talking about and teaching people, which brings me to a point. Very informative content is what performs the best when you're trying to market your business. Like you want to show people that you are the expert in your field. So when you're brainstorming different themes and categories, it should be informative posts that you're going to be writing about. So let me bring up an example. So in my case, my themes that I created initially were future customers, sales, building relationships, and seeding your launch. Because as an OBM, that is exactly what I focus on for all of my clients. So in each of those themes, I created 5 to 7 categories. And those categories is exactly what I write about each week. So I'm just going to give you a quick example, and then I'll hand it back over to you.
No, go ahead. Give me a long example. I personally learn really, really well with examples, and I know a lot of other people do, so examples are great.
So for example, in the future customers theme, My category was social media. So my topic was how to utilize social media platforms to promote your launch and find your future customers. So yeah, the theme was future customers and the category was social media. And that's how I created this topic that I wrote a blog post about. I repurposed content for 5 to 7 social media posts and an email newsletter. And I've been doing that every week ever since. And yeah, so that's kind of like the brief overview of themes. Um, and by creating all of these categories underneath every theme, I have about 20 to 30 weeks of content already planned out. Like I already know going into every week or every month, I know what I'm going to be talking about. I know what I'm going to be writing about. So that's how I've planned 4 months so far worth of content.
4 months is a lot of content. I
It
mean,
is.
if you're posting heavily online, that's a lot of content, and that wouldn't have been able to be done. I don't think you'd be able to be 4 months ahead without a system. So, can we just back up real quick?
Mhm.
And what is the difference between a theme and a category?
That's a good question. So, to me, the theme is kind of like just an overview of something that you're going to be talking about. Like a theme could be, you want to focus on launching. So that could be your theme. But what goes into a launch? That's where the categories come in. So, what goes into a launch could be um, email marketing. It could be social media. It could be, it could be a wide variety of things. So hopefully that kind of gives you a better idea of how to specify the two. The themes are just a huge picture, and the categories is what narrows everything down.
Yeah, so maybe an example for like a health coach would be, and tell me if I've got this right, but it would be like nutrition would be a theme, and then categories could be mindful eating, meal planning, recipes, things like that, right?
Absolutely. Yes, that's a great example.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Yeah, so that makes sense. Now, how would you recommend somebody come up with the themes and the categories? Like I know for myself, what I do is, or what we do as a company is a total 360 view of one's online presence. So that includes social media and email marketing and websites and all of that. So I was like, there's an endless amount of themes and categories. So, how do you suggest entrepreneurs start to decide what themes and categories to focus on?
So that was something that I really struggled when I first started. And in reality, there is no limit. So I just focused on, as an OBM, what I wanted to specialize in, which initially that was social media, email marketing, and web design. So I started off with focusing on those three things. And then as I'm just like brain dumping basically into this document, tons of different ideas started coming to me. I even did some Google research, just typing in different themes and categories to see what else might pop up and what else could I talk about. And then I've also noticed as I'm going through these months of planned content, I'm also coming up with ideas for future content. And that's from engaging in Facebook groups, networking with other people, seeing what they're doing, and joining podcasts like these, things like that. I'm always coming up with new content and I'm still adding to that document. So I don't think I'm ever going to run out of, ideas.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And that's so funny because the episode before this one about habits of content creators, successful content creators, I go through exactly that is brain dump all of your ideas. And as you're going through the day, make sure you're writing these all down in like a running document or Evernote or Asana or something like somewhere. Write all these ideas down. So I love that you're saying that.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's something I didn't say. I do keep a document in Evernote of a lot of my different ideas, but in reality, it's all in a Google Doc. It just looks, better for me, and it's easier to make edits, and it's just there for whenever I need it.
Yeah. Yeah. Good old handy Google Docs,
Yeah.
Google Drive. Yeah. And actually, it's so funny. I was just having a strategy call before this call, and she was telling me, so she did 100 days of Facebook Live, just like I did. And she said that she found it to be so much easier when she actually had the content planned out. Because when she would sit down and think, what should I go on Facebook about today? Because she didn't have it written out, she spent so much more time sitting there, and she was trying to figure it out. And she was frustrated during that time too. So when you plan it out, it's just so much easier on you emotionally and mentally. And also, you can be prepared ahead of time in case you get sick or something like that. Like a client of mine got sick this week and wasn't able to approve the content that I created for her. So we just went into the bank, the library that we have of pre-approved content, and we're just pulling from there because we're ahead of ourselves. Now, I know, like, what I want to add to what you're saying is that 4 months of content is awesome. And to anybody who's listening, who's like, oh my God, I don't know if I could ever be 4 months ahead. I think my personal opinion is, as long as you're like just a few weeks ahead, I think you're doing a really good job. What do you think of that? Do you think it's necessary to be months ahead?
No, I absolutely don't think it's necessary at all. And even though I'm preaching like, oh, I'm 4 months ahead, it took me a while to get there. So even today, like I'm still every single Monday, Monday is my content creation day. So immediately Monday morning, I jump online and I look at my themes and categories and I see which one is next in line. And I'm like, okay, that's the blog post I have to write this week. And I just knock it out. And then with that blog post, I repurpose it for my social and my email. And then I'm done for the whole week. So I get a lot done on Mondays. And that's just because it works for me. And since I've been doing that, I have about 4 to 6 months of content that I can go back to and reuse. I think that's something a lot of people don't realize, is that you don't always have to be making new content all the time. Like you can just go back and repurpose or reuse it, because nobody's going to notice. You know, like nobody's going to remember 3 months from now what you posted. So that's something else that themes and categories come in handy for, is because you can just create 4 months worth of content and then you can just go back. You can look at your very first theme and just redo it.
Yeah. And you can also maybe put a new spin to it. So you're
Yeah.
further repurposing. So yes, you can republish the same thing, and you can also maybe recycle it or reconstruct it basically into a different a different way. I know a lot of people worry when I tell them to repurpose content. They worry a lot about people seeing it multiple times. And I'm like, most people are not going to see it. They're just not going to see it the second time. And if they do, then I've never heard of anybody being mad about that.
No, definitely not. No. And it's just not logical to create content, new content all the time. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure people that, are making millions of money, they are definitely reusing their content too. So
They are. There's this really, really big influencer, and she, Susan Hyatt, and she posted something recently, or I guess it was a few weeks ago now, but a while ago, where I was like, wow, that's really clever and familiar. And so I spent a lot of time digging through her archives through Instagram, because I was like, I've heard that before. And then I saw 3 months before she had posted almost exactly the same thing. And I only remembered it because it was so clever and it stood out. And I don't even remember what it was. Must have not been that clever, but it was clever. And I personally was impressed. I thought it was really interesting, and I don't hate her for it. And I think it's very rare for anybody to really notice. And just hold on. Now I don't I don't want you to think that your content's bad if people don't notice that it's a repost or repurposing. It's really unlikely, I think. And then also your audience will evolve too. So the people who are seeing it in 4 months may not have even been following you this month.
exactly. That's exactly right. Because my target audience has changed multiple times since I started my business. So for all I know, it's not even the same people that are seeing the post now. So
Right.
nobody's going to know.
And the other thing too to consider is that if they are reading it for a second time, they may be understanding it in a different way. It may land for them differently because they're in a different headspace or you said it differently. I don't know, but does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. That's a really great point.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool. So you're thinking like don't repurpose content any less than 3 months after it's published? What's your guideline for that?
So I would say 3 months is a good number. I think I waited until 4 months. Actually, this month was my fourth month, so I'm reusing my content and nobody knows. Um, so
Until this goes out. But it's fine. It's a smart way to work, I think.
exactly. So yeah, I think 3 months would be a good start point. I wouldn't do any sooner than that.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that's a good number.
And what do you think about, so just to be really clear, we're talking about repurposing the content that's created from this themes and categories system. Should they be creating new content as they're repurposing old content as well, or should it just be 100% the content you've already published?
So that's the great thing about this. It's totally flexible. The only reason why I stopped creating new content as of right now is because we're about to jump into the holidays and I'm going to be traveling for like 10 days straight. And I just know I'm not going to want to be sitting at my computer creating content. It's just not logical for me right now during the holidays and stuff. So that's why I stopped and I'm reusing the content that I have. And then as of January, I'll probably just pick it back up with the themes and categories that I haven't used yet. So it's totally whatever works for you. I think it would be very beneficial if people had the time and wanted to. Let's say they want to just batch create content and they just create, weeks worth of the content that's in their themes and categories, but at the same time, they're still posting their reused posts on social media. You know what I mean? So it's really whatever works for them.
I really like that you're saying that because a lot of marketers teach all these sorts of different systems and it's all great. And I watch solopreneurs or entrepreneurs rather. I see them jump from system to system because they're looking for the next best thing. And it's okay if you want to adjust a system so that it works for you. I love the idea of batch creating content. And then you and I, when we first started, we talked about batch creating content and then we decided, no, let's take a step back because that's not working for you right now because I just couldn't bring myself to sit down and create like 10 posts in one day. We were like, okay, let's just take it week by week or every 2 weeks or something and then build up to that. So the system's flexible and I'm really, really happy that you said that.
Yes, definitely. It is absolutely flexible. Like I said, I just couldn't do it right now. So that's why I was really happy that, hey, I had 4 months worth of content. Why don't I just reuse it so I can enjoy my holidays?
That is such a good point. That's another reason why you should be either batch creating your content or repurposing content because you're going to travel. And while you may work while you're traveling, you don't necessarily need to do all the regular work that you normally do, like every Monday creating content. So that's really cool. That's really cool.
Yes, definitely.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all that you did today. And if the people who are listening to the podcast right now wanted to stop and go implement what it is that they learned today, what is the first action that they should take?
So I think the first action that they should take is just open a Google Doc and just brain dump. It doesn't matter what you write, you can go through it later. And whatever you brain dump, I think that you should just take a step back and really look at it, and you will be able to pick your themes. Like maybe the content that you just brain dumped is all about one subject. Well, there you go. You have a theme and you have all those categories. And there you go. That's how you can start. So
So
yeah,
brain dumping like specific topics?
yeah, I would do specific topics, even if it's just one topic right now, because it's so flexible that you don't have to be having a different theme every single week or every single month. It can be the same theme if that's what you specialize in. So it's very flexible. So I think the first step is really just brain dump. Brain dump everything into a document and just take a big step back and see what you came up with. And there you go.
I love that. And I would love to see what themes and categories you guys come up with too. So when you create that, go to our Facebook group, Unforgettable Entrepreneurs Society, and post and tell us what your themes and categories are. And if you want feedback, just tell us you want feedback, or you could just celebrate that, hey, I did this thing and I wanted to show it off. So we would love to see what it is that you have to say. And Crystal's also in the group, so tag her when you post it as well.
Yes, definitely. Oh my gosh, I would love to see what people come up with, and I will be more than happy to make recommendations, especially if you're brain dumping and you have a brain fart. I would just love to kind of collaborate with you.
Oh, you're so wonderful. Thank you so much. It's really generous of you. Speaking of you being generous, you have a gift to offer us, don't you?
I do.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
So if you're interested in hearing other processes, systems, and hearing super helpful tips and tricks that are similar to this, I would love for you to join my email list. And as a bonus, everybody on my email list receives my launch checklist. So it's literally a checklist of everything you need to know in order to promote your business for your launch, whether you're about to start your own business or launch a new offer. This launch checklist is great for that. So I would love for everybody to just visit my website, crystalstatskey.com, and just join my email list and you'll receive that. And then you can also check out my Facebook group, Monetize Your Passion Society. And that's where I also have helpful tips and tricks. And I'll also be having workshops starting in 2020 that I'm super excited for.
Yay! Oh, that sounds so cool. I'm so looking forward to seeing that. And guys, if you're not launching anything anytime soon, you probably will be sometime in the future. So go sign up and just tuck that checklist away. Go read it, but also keep it in a safe space. So when you do launch, you can use that. It's really, really good. I've seen it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. And guys, I'll have all those links in the show notes. Just go to unforgettableonlinemarketing.com/18 because this is episode number 18. Crystal, was there anything else that you wanted to say before we sign off here?
I think that's it. I so appreciate you having me on this podcast. It's been such a great time, and I can't wait to hear from everyone and connecting with each and every one of you.
Of course, of course. Thank you so much. I knew that you were brilliant as soon as well, no, I knew you were brilliant before this, but as soon as you taught me your themes and category system and your ways of thinking about repurposing content, I'm like, this girl needs to talk to my people. So I'm really glad that you said yes to the opportunity and that you're here. Thank you so much for listening, everybody, and I will see you next time on Unforgettable Online Marketing.